Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. I'm actually right now in the middle of going through the cycles of the planets and the moons and the eclipses for 2019, kind of preparing us for the year to come. And it's caused me to really look at not just where we're headed, but also sort of where we've been. And I just want to bring you into the awareness that I have about what's going on in the bigger scope of the transits. Mostly because I think sometimes we get so lost in the minutia of the day-to-day and even the bumps in the road that we forget that the bump is a bump, not the road, and we start to identify with the bump. And I want to really get you back into the awareness that you're on a road. Your life is a journey. The planets are laying out for us a path towards a cycle of conscious, and I might even add dramatic potential for evolution. And this has the potential to be an evolution that is going to be heart expanding, that has the capacity to unify humanity, to bring us together under the same sky, under the same moon and sun, working in a unified way to create equitable, sustainable peace, to craft intelligent and elegant and loving solutions to the challenges facing humanity today. When we are experiencing the bump, I want you to remember that for us to get to that vision, for us to create this place where we're going, and honestly, it's inevitable that we're going to get there. We're going to get there. The planets lay it out like a map, that's where we're headed. What we have control over is not so much where we're headed as much as how we're going to get there. You always have the opportunity to get on the road and enjoy the road and experience the beauty of the landscape as you travel along on your path, or you always have, in the lower expression, the opportunity to be screaming at the road, screaming at the driver of your car, beating yourself up, struggling with the direction of the path, hating everything that you're seeing, or noticing that one thing that really seemingly is ugly to you and focusing all your attention on that and having a really crappy ride. When we look at how evolution is hardwired into the human design chart, what we see is that we have to have 2 steps forward, surges in new ideas, surges in possibilities, surges in mutation, and then we have to have accompanying that 2 steps forward, a step back. Conservatism, if you want to call it that. Because unchecked mutation, unchecked change, doesn't allow us to make sure that we are getting an accurate lay of the land for what we're creating and what we're doing, and doesn't allow for us to make sure and assess that we are, in fact, with our new ideas, with our momentum, actually serving the greater good of the whole. So if you feel like what you're creating in the world, or if you feel like what the world is doing right now feels like not at all in alignment with what you're intending, I want to invite you into an understanding that we need all of this. We need the momentum, we need the resistance, we need the alignment, and we need conservatism. We need people who are going to hold back with older ideas, with ideas that maybe feel like to you personally like they're outdated or they're not functional anymore, because if we don't have that pullback, that conservative pullback, we don't know for sure. We can't test in an accurate, very conscious and deliberate way if what we're creating is actually working. So don't despair if it feels like, oh my God, we're going backwards. We're not. You can't go backwards. Don't despair if it feels like old ideas are having a resurgence. They're not. They're coming up on the path to help us assess and make sure that what we are creating is indeed going to serve the greater good of the whole. We need to push against the old to make sure that the new works, to make sure that what we're creating is in alignment with where we're headed. So, bottom line, don't panic. Everything's going to be okay. That being said, when I look at where we've been in the last 2 years in particular and where we're headed next year, we have another year in front of us that's going to be pretty interesting. And I'm not using interesting in air quotes, so don't panic. I'm not trying to make a euphemism over it. It's interesting because as we continue to move forward, part of what's happening is we're being invited by the planets to really explore the stories we tell about ourselves, not just personally, and we've been doing a lot of personal inventory on our stories this year, and that's not going to end next year, and it's certainly not going to end while we're in this Venus retrograde cycle. So we are going to continue in the next year to really explore, who are you? You know, if you are creating your reality, who's the you that's creating that reality? That's a really important question to understand. And when you understand that you can rewrite the story of who you are to rewrite the reality you're experiencing, then you have a really amazing opportunity in front of yourself to really look at, what do you really want? What's the story you really want to be living? And how can you craft that story in such a way that it supports you in creating the life you really intend to be living? We're gonna be in the storytelling mode all next year, and you are probably not going to see a huge breakthrough with it until we get maybe to December of 2019, and then we move into 2020, which is a year of just dramatic potential for change. Now, if the stories we keep rewriting about who we perceive ourselves to be are strong and empowered, are rooted in our infinite lovability, are stories that tell the truth about our vitality, that support us in being decisive and keep us in alignment with our inner awareness and our truth, when we stay connected to source and we see the value of who we are, and you get how precious you are, and you start creating from that place of preciousness, what you put out or what you end up attracting into your reality is going to be beautiful. And that beauty and all of that goodness that you're crafting into the story you've been rewriting for the last 2 years, and you're going to continue to rewrite for the next year, what we're going to end up creating can be magnificent in 2020. But it also means that all those things that are not magnificent, all those things that are out of sync with the stories we're telling about ourselves, by the way, we're not just writing our own personal story, we're rewriting our collective story. We're rewriting our identity as humans. What does that mean? You know, what does that mean for us? It means that big structures, potentially, collective structures, personal structures, relationships, cosmic relationships, everything is subject to reevaluation and ultimately recreation. And certainly I would say 2020 could be a year of pretty big shifting and changing. But that's not bad. And that doesn't have to be traumatic or frightening or scary. If the story you tell about who you are, and if the story we tell about who we are, is in harmony with what we're wanting to create. It might feel sometimes in the process of walking down your life path that you're out of control, but you're not. You always have the choice to have a beautiful walk, a walk in beauty on that road, or you have the choice to go screaming down the road with your pants on fire. You decide. It's your choice. The story you tell about who you are is going to influence the quality of the walk that you have on the path. It's going to influence whether you notice the flowers and the sweet cows mewing. What do they say? What do cows say? Mooing at you. Whether you notice, the butterflies and the scent of the breeze blowing, or whether you are freaking out and not seeing anything you think that's in alignment with what you want. Have a good walk on the road. You owe it to yourself. And to do that, that means you got to get consistent and deliberate and conscious. You got to act strongly with conviction. You got to take bold actions, and you got to make sure your emotional alignment is in place with what you're creating. And you can't do that if you have a crappy story. So get yourself a good story. All right, this week, sorry, that was a little preachy, and I didn't mean to be so preachy. And I can't believe I forgot what cows say. I don't hang out with a lot of cows as a vegan, so. All right, so in I'm going to actually go through all the planetary positions just one by one, because I think We haven't done that in a while, and I really want you to get a feel for what's up this week. The sun is in the 57. This week, our intuitive capacity is highly elevated, so trust yourself. If it smells bad, if it feels bad, if it looks bad, if you know something and you don't know how you know that, but you know that it's true, if you can feel it in your bones, trust yourself this week. Your intuition is running high. The earth is in the 51. The 51 is the energy of shock and initiation. So I do want you to tune into your own inner awareness and your intuition, because it may feel like to you that the road you're standing on or the road that you're walking on is taking some pretty unexpected twists and turns. Now, don't assume that that's bad. I want to remind you that winning the lottery is also an unexpected event, and it can be awesome. So just because it's unexpected or even potentially shocking doesn't mean it's bad. But it does mean that things are not going to seem the way you thought they would be this week, or your plans this week might not work out the way that you thought, and it's okay. As long as you're tuning into your inner wisdom, you're going to figure out how to work your way through it. Mercury is in the 50, moving to the 28, which means our communication energy is loving and nurturing and compassionate, and begins to speak into, by the end of the week, an assessment of what's really important. What are the priorities of your heart? So I really do want to encourage you this week to really look at your lifestyle, your patterns, your habits, anything that's coming up for you, and really make sure that whatever you're creating, you're prioritizing it, that you're really taking care of the big things first and letting the little things handle themselves or deal with them later if you have the time. Don't be out of alignment with what is the truth or the priorities of your heart. Venus is beginning. Last Friday, she began her beautiful retrograde cycle until mid-November. Whenever Venus goes retrograde, we are exploring our values, and we're also exploring our relationship patterns. And in this particular case, I just want to say, I think collectively, we're also exploring the archetype of the feminine. And it's causing us to go in and really look at our patterns and really asking ourselves, is the way we are expressing our feminine energy and our identities in our relationship, and we all have feminine energy, by the way, even if you're the manliest of man, we have all archetypes within us, masculine and feminine, and all of us have Venus energy in us, all of us have mama energy in us, all of us have goddess energy in us, all of us have the energy of receiving. We are exploring the values of our receptive nature. And in our relationships, we're looking at past patterns. We're looking at the past patterns of the way in which we identify ourselves. We are looking at past patterns in the context of what we are allowing ourselves to receive. And if we feel like we're not getting what we deserve, we're going to be potentially angry or disruptive, or begin to write a new story that reflects the value of who you truly are, so that you can set yourself up to receive what you really deserve. Powerful, powerful work, and I'm going to tell you the next 3.5, 4 weeks, have the potential to be pretty dodgy with this energy, especially as we get into the shadow side of it in about a week and a half. So I want you to really be prepared that your relationship energy is up for evaluation. And remember that your current partner might not be the one that did to you the things that are causing you to react in your partnership. So be gentle with each other, all of you, all of us. We need to be gentle with each other in partnership, because we're all going through this. We're all reassessing and reevaluating. Mars is in the 19. The 19 makes us extra sensitive. So, a great combination if you really want to go deep and intimate. Don't take things personally. And because the 19 can also be highly intuitive, trust your gut. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't smell right, if it doesn't, if it's not right, trust yourself. Even if you don't understand why it doesn't feel right, it's okay. It's okay to go, hey, this doesn't feel right, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. If you can't explain why it doesn't feel right, it just means that it doesn't feel right, and that's that. You can go with that. I give you permission. Saturn is in 10 and Jupiter is in the 43. Saturn and Jupiter tend to dance together in this really funny, juicy, harmonious way. What Saturn is teaching us this week is that when you love yourself, there's a biggie right there, right? When you love yourself, you are then able to understand and comprehend what you need to understand and comprehend to begin the process of transforming your life. When you tell a story of self-love, the way you think of yourself, the understandings that you have, transform the way you think, and your mind begins to create in harmony with your self-love. That's the blessing that Jupiter brings us. If you don't like yourself, you may find that you're really struggling to understand and to feel right in the world. You might feel confused, or you might feel like you have something to share, but you don't know what it is and you don't know how to articulate it. And it can cause you to get into a cycle of beating yourself up if you feel like you're not able to explain it correctly. Don't go with the explanation part as the thing you want to fix. The explanation part will sort itself out. You'll be able to clearly articulate what you need and what you have to do to transform your life when you love yourself first. So focus on the self-love piece. Don't worry about the explaining piece. Uranus is in the 3, giving us indicating to us very clearly we're in this powerful, powerful evolutionary cycle. Things are changing, and things are going to continue to change for a couple of years. So buckle up and have a good walk on the road. Neptune is in the 63, making us doubtful and suspicious of each other, making it difficult for us to discern what is true and what is not true, especially if you're using your head. Your head is going to be confused with this energy. Don't use your head. Drop into your heart, drop into your intuition, trust your gut, and do your best to modulate your stress, your cortisol levels. I am not going to say hug a tree, but I'm really thinking it in my mind, okay? Do your best to manage your stress so that you're not creating from a freaked out mental place, but that you are instead dropping into that solid creative place that is your heart, and do your best to stay in that heart space and evaluate information in here, not up here. Up here, everything's going to feel whack. Down here, everything's going to feel aligned. So deep, slow breathing, walking, consistent practice of meditation will continue to support you in feeling into your heart and the wisdom of that knowingness that comes from here, not from here. Okay? Pluto's in the 54, giving us all kinds of divine spark ideas and inspirations. We are changing, and the next steps are being revealed to us. You don't have to figure out what to do once you get the next new idea. Be present to the idea. Embrace the idea. Be a sacred steward for the idea. Envision what you want, and trust that when the timing is right, the next step to whatever it is that you're building and creating will reveal itself. But nothing right now is going to move until you get the story of who you are and who you'd like to be expressing and experiencing, until you are the full expression of who you truly are, and you're able to consistently and solidly tell yourself that story in your heart over and over again till you get to that space. Whatever ideas you have, whatever you end up creating, don't act on it, because you'll only get yourself back into a reactive cycle. Reacting, meaning doing the same thing with emotional charge, maybe with different people and different time zones, but continuing to react old patterns. You don't want to react anymore. We're moving towards becoming conscious and deliberate. That means when you get that divine spark, you trust and you have faith and you let the divine unfolding of the plan happen, and you follow your strategy by type, and you do what you came here to do in the right way, and you don't push, and you don't push against the divine timing. You take care of yourself. You learn to love yourself. You learn to tell a story that is a reflection of the truth of the value and the beauty of who you are. And don't compromise. Don't settle for less than what you deserve. With that, I invite you to have a great week. See you next week.